It has been said that travel broadens the mind and sometimes even the waistline, but you don't have to go far to find some great destinations and just plain likeable places on many different levels. For me, these include the English Peak District, the Lake District, the Malvern Hills and the Norfolk Broads. A mention of these very English locations may not make you salivate at the prospect of following in my footsteps, but they have the undoubted benefits of being familiar, usually easy to get to by car, full of great places to walk and cycle, great pubs and cafes, and generally they're also easy on the wallet. We have bookings made already for further visits to some of these places. Conversely, there are places which I visited once or twice, which I shall always rate as deeply memorable, most notably Moscow in minus 25 degrees centigrade, New York, and, very specifically, the subject of this story, Adelaide, South Australia. Sue and I went there as a result of her qualifying to represent Team GB in her age group in the Duathlon World Championships in October 2015, which, as you might imagine, is quite a story all of its own. We have no family down under and hadn't found a compelling reason to visit on the basis that it's a long way away and one would have to spend a minimum of 3 weeks there to begin to do justice to such a large country. On this occasion, we opted for a 12-day, one-location visit, and I, in particular, was totally bowled over by the place. It's a long flight from Newcastle on Emirates Airlines, this time shared with an unhappy Tonga rugby union team which had just been knocked out of the World Cup, but fortunately with only one change of aeroplane and a 2-hour break in Dubai. We arrived at around midnight Oz time, but my body clock was in meltdown by this time. It could have been any time of day or night. It was their early summer and gratifyingly warm at our late hour of arrival. A short ride from the airport brought us to the team hotel and one of the finest ones in town, the Intercontinental. Having grabbed a few hours sleep, we awoke to the daylight and the first view of Adelaide itself. Parkland dotted with trees not found in the UK, the sight and sound of birds not seen or heard in the UK, the broad river Torrens and across to the impressively imposing Adelaide Oval Cricket Ground. Remind us yourself at the time, be sure to take a guided tour if they do such a thing, and even if they don't. Breakfast duly taken, we were out taking in the sights of this handsome city, a beguiling combination of the imposing Victorian architecture of the city fathers, the very modern in the business district, and what seemed like streets from a cowboy movie just back from the main thoroughfare, North Terrace. Of course, from our point of view, this was a business visit in terms of acclimatising before Sue's event, so her needs came first, and we were left with plenty of opportunities to explore the city and the surrounding area in temperatures of 35 to 40 degrees centigrade. Yes, it was hot, but the heat was so dry it was more like someone pointing a hairdryer at you rather than standing in a pool of your own perspiration. Strangely, I never tired of this weather. Rather than ramble on, here are a few of the memorable and magical places we found in the Adelaide district. I hope you may get the chance to visit this enchanting area and experience them for yourself. Glenelg, the same spelling backwards and forwards, but not just a palindrome, but Adelaide's big beach and a few stops on the tram from the central business district. The university, Victorian, but it could have been built yesterday because there's no air pollution here. The museums, particularly seeing Tarnanthi, the Aboriginal Art Festival, both stunning in its elegance and evocative of life before and after the English came and impeded their way of life. The Migrant Settler exhibition. It certainly wasn't all roses for the predominantly English migrants, particularly those who were on a £10 passage after World War II. The many memorials to Aboriginal life as it was before the settlers came. Harndorf, a small town back in the Adelaide Hills and where Germans came to settle. We took the bus and they even accepted my English bus pass, which is more than they would in Wales. We walked up the hill from there to the Cedars, the Hans Huyssen art studio, where he lived and worked until he died in 1968, aged 90. His old car and camping gear was still in the garage. Mount Lofty, this is the viewing point right over Adelaide. A lovely time spent there with Peter and Marilyn Brown, who we had met on a cycling holiday in France a few years previously. The burble of the ubiquitous V6 and V8 engined Holden cars. Petrol is cheap in Australia. The Adelaide Oval, a gem of a modern sports arena with its original 1911 scoreboard and mechanism still in place and working. I had the grand tour along with a few others from Australia and New Zealand. We all had to introduce ourselves and say where we were from. I was up last, and being the only one from the United Kingdom, introduced myself as the Token Pom. To much hilarity. Lovely, experienced guides who obviously loved the place and the sport. They took us round for a couple of hours. It's memorable that the place is clean, just so clean. And the people were fine and friendly with no side to them at all. It's worth adding that Adelaide was established as a settler colony, not as a penal colony. And it was named after Queen Adelaide, consort to King William IV. And lastly, a memory of just sitting in the botanic gardens among the huge native trees and the birdsong in the sunshine. All in all, one of my life's great experiences, a golden memory. And that has been an homage to the fine city of Adelaide, South Australia.